what's for me? How's it hanging? How's it happen? You guys know what it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. The podcast Rolling Stone magazine describes as one that initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists, allowing fans to discover the creative workflow of their favorite musicians and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are all sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom computing needs. Get $100 off your intelligence code CPPOD at darkfusionsystems.com. Links for the podcast below. Let's go to our feature presentation. This band appeared on the podcast back in 2021. It's 2025 right now, and we're going to dive into it with them. We have Oli and Jamie from the band TheCityIsOurs on the podcast, recording this while they were on tour on the road in the UK with the home team. We talk about their brand new album, Will You Still Love Me? We talk about the creation of this album, the tough points of working with this album, and the songs that were the tougher ones to put together, but really get an appreciation for why and get even more closely connected to them. How it was so easy and so natural for the band to blend so many different styles from a pop rock and a pop sensibility into their more modern metal sound, as well as the songs on the album that are yet to be released that you need to check out. Please note that, again, they were on the road, so towards the end of the episode, their audio is still good, but their video might freeze up a little bit on us. But don't worry, all the content's still there. You ready? Let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. We had this band back on the podcast. I had to check this morning in October of 2021 before the release of the second album, Coma. So yeah, that was a long time ago if we think about it, because a lot's happened in between that time for not only us, but for this band as well. And now as we're getting into 2025 with a brand new album called Will You Still Love Me coming out on January 31st, and this band continuing to rise, especially in the European live music scene. You're going to want to get to know more about them if you don't know about them. If you know about them, you're going to want the ultimate preview of the album, right? And whatever else comes up in this episode. So yeah, please welcome Oli and Jamie from the band TheCityIsOurs to the podcast. So gentlemen, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Whoa, what an introduction. Thank you, man.
I had to go all out with the introduction, man. If I didn't go all out with it, then I'm clearly doing something wrong.
No, we appreciate it, man. Sounds great.
Oh, you guys are very welcome. Well, I know you guys said, like, was you're trying to set this up, you're on the road. So how has life been going for you recently, especially as we're interviewing you guys, closing out 2024, heading into album release time in 2025?
Yeah, we're currently on the road supporting the home team around the UK, which is really cool. They're super nice guys, and Andreas is another support act, and his whole crew is amazing too. And then after this, we go straight to Europe with Self-Deception. So yeah, go to Prague, in Czech Republic, Hungary, Vienna, and somewhere else.
Yeah, it's been a busy end of the year for us. I think we've had quite a quiet year, and then it's just everything's just been all at once, which is pretty cool. It's all go at the moment, ready for the album to come out.
That is pretty cool that it's all go at the end of the year, too, just to really get everyone set for the album release, get your name back out there in the minds of so many people from the live scene, supporting the home team who, funny enough, were on the podcast early in 2024. And then you guys are going out with Self-Deception, who are also on here in 2024 as well. So now once you said those names, all I could think of is, this is way too cool, just seeing more bands, not only going out to Europe and really seeing what else is out there, getting more of their names known in other countries, but then all of a sudden interviewing bands that are also running out with them and doing the same thing. This is awesome.
Yeah, everyone just linking up, man. It's real cool. And everyone's just been so nice. It's like been two really wholesome tours so far. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, no better way to end the year and no better way to go into a brand new album than by getting some great tours on there, making some new friends, and then all of a sudden, especially, and when people look at a band size, now they see Spotify numbers. See those Spotify numbers keep increasing every single day as we get to the release of this album.
Yeah, that's what we like to see.
That's what we love to see. And one thing I'm curious about too is now that you guys kind of had a little bit of a quieter year in 2024, but then are really kicking it into high gear towards the end of the year. Of course, with Will You Still Love Me, there are multiple singles out there now as well. How are the fans taking to the new songs, especially in a live setting, now that you're able to see their instant reactions?
Yeah, really good. They're a lot more like fun and like uplifting and upbeat. And yeah, seeing, especially last night, Leeds, I was seeing people sing back the new songs that haven't even been out for that long. It's been super cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what's really interesting as well, because obviously these are tours that aren't headline shows for us, and a lot of when we got put onto the home team tour, for instance, it was sold out completely. So a lot of the people there don't know who we are. So it's interesting to see and gauge the reaction of all the songs, like how they react to the new ones over the old ones. It's obviously in settings and shows we play where it's people who know us and know the songs, they may have a bias towards the older ones, but it's good to see the reaction to the new ones over the old ones. And I think they get a lot of more positive reaction than some of the old ones, which is pretty cool to see. It's nice to see the work that we've been doing over the last year kind of come to fruition, really.
Well, not necessarily even come to fruition, but you're getting that fresh perspective from what would be new fans starting out on a run with the home team where they had no idea who the support was going to be or that you were going to be on the bill before the entire thing sold out. So you're right, you're getting a fresh take where there might be a great number of fans, and it seems to be that way, that are just getting into the band, that are just discovering them, and are coming in with no preconceived notions, no embedded thoughts on if they like certain songs, they don't like certain songs. So you have a blank canvas to inspire people and to essentially influence them to think, okay, this music is going to be pretty kick-ass. You're going to want to check out more of this stuff. You have the moment there and you're absolutely taking it. And being able to see that now the reaction to these singles is positive, but even better than that, you're getting more of this reaction that people are singing along with it. Like they're already checking out the songs and they're already knowing it and falling in love with them. That's just the great start to not only going into the next tour, but also when this album is going to drop and everyone gets a taste of it. The old fans and the ones that have been around for quite a while are going to be into it, but there's going to be so much more potential to get new fans into it, and you're seeing that happen right now.
100%, man. Yes. I just I love the way you took my ramblings of a madman there and just put them into really coherent sentence. So I appreciate that. I think you should just follow me around and do that with everything I say.
Honestly, Jamie, you'd be surprised. I've been doing this for almost 6 years at this point, so it's pretty second nature to me. And like 3 days before we shot this interview was my brother's wedding where I had to give the best man speech, and trying to put a whole 30 years of memories and 30 years of ideas into the span of 4 minutes is not an easy task to do, but I know I did it well. So being able to take the ramblings of a madman and make them coherent,
amazing,
that's
man.
that's as simple as ever. And I was about to try and come up with a better analogy for that, but then I started rambling like a madman. So even I have those moments. Don't worry.
Good. We're all human, I guess.
Oh yeah, we're all human. We're all good. And again, it's just always something that makes me happy when I get to see bands and I get to hear about bands that are starting that are coming out with new music, and so many people are getting into it right from the jump. Because yes, there's a lot of great new music coming out. Yes, there's a lot of greatness that we're seeing, not only in the rock and metal scene, but along the music spectrum as a whole. But especially with the rock and metal scene, we're seeing it consistently grow over the past 5 to 6 years. We're seeing so many other bands get these opportunities that they haven't had for the past 10 or 20, and we're seeing it happen right now. That's what I'm absolutely loving to see, and I'm seeing that you guys are a part of this, especially from the reaction with the home team tour that's happening right now. That when we're talking.
Yeah.
Are you guys still
Sorry,
there?
I think you cut out a little bit there.
Well, I think I got you back.
Yeah,
guys,
we're here. Sorry, you cut out a little bit. We didn't hear the question.
I was just
sorry, man.
I was just basically I know. I was just basically championing you guys about how when it comes to this, when it comes to the scene right now, a lot of people are starting to gain a lot of traction. There's a lot more attention on it. There's a lot more creativity behind it. There's a lot of bands that are getting their time, that are getting more of this recognition. And I'm glad to see that you guys are especially in on it, seeing like how the reaction to your brand new music from people who don't really know it, given the reaction you're seeing on the home team side, just in this tour, how it's all playing together. Did I cut out on you guys again?
Yeah, you did a bit, man. But I kind of got the gist of what you were saying. Yeah, no, it's amazing to see. We've got there's a lot of our friends obviously that are in bands, and they're just now after years starting to get picked up. I mean, we've got really good friends who are this year playing Download and Lestel. If you've not heard them, you should definitely check them out. They're a band called Lestel, and it just like it's amazing to see all these great British bands that have been working so hard for however long finally start to get their flowers. And like, yeah, I guess for us getting on the home team's like a dream tour.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year, they were one of the bands that we thought we really loved to tour with them. I don't know if it could ever happen, but and now it has. So we're just like, yeah, living the dream, I guess.
Well, especially with it being their first headliner over outside of the United States as well. That's a real big push, too. So for you guys wanting to tour with them and then having the opportunity to pull it off, especially for the run-up to the release of Will You Still Love Me, I mean, could it be more perfect?
No, literally, it's the most perfect. Like, they're like one of the bands that we've listened to, like, listening to them for, like, few years that all of us have a mutual like love to the band, so it's like ridiculous to see that. Yeah, we've been lucky enough for them to take us on.
And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And just like to say as well, Andreas as well. Like we've been listening to Andreas for so long, like probably before home team. So to be on tour with him as well, just insane to us. It's amazing. That's all all we can really say. It's just amazing.
It is, and as time goes on, we're going to be continue to see more of these great bands from Britain, from the UK, really start to come up and really get even more international attention, as some of them have already gotten. Of course, we all know, especially in the metal side, we know bands like Architects, we know Asking Alexandria, we know Bring Me the Horizon, we know While She Sleeps. But because ever since I've started this podcast, I've seen other bands from the UK just really start to rise up and get a lot more of a worldwide presence. And the two that always stand out to me in that aspect are Caskets and Holding Absence. And if bands like those guys can continue to rise up the ranks and keep putting a positive name to the UK, rock, metal, post-hardcore scene, you're just going to keep seeing that rise up, and you're going to keep seeing more eyes come to it. So bands like The City Is Ours continues to grow off of that, but continues to forge, as you guys are doing, forge your own path in the same way.
Yeah, 100%. They're great figureheads for the British music scene. They're everything that's like encompassing in of the hard work that goes into it and how good the music is. They're two great bands and they're doing great things, and good friends as well. Like Oli, obviously you know them a lot more.
Yeah, the Caskets. He's like my actual full-time job is photography and videography. So you cut out? No.
I still got you guys. I still got you guys, yep.
Like music videos. Okay. So I tour with Caskets quite a lot. And yeah, seeing them just get bigger and bigger is nuts. And it's so cool.
Well, if you're going to be touring with Caskets, especially when they come back over to the US in 2025, I'm going to have to find a way to like sneak back in there and give you the old hello, just due to the fact that I've known Caskets since about 2021, and I usually get a good old like message into Matt I usually get a message from Matt like, hey man, what's going on?
Oh, nice.
Can I come give you a good old hello at the show? There's times where it works and there's times where it doesn't, because I know he's a busy guy and I know his vocal style takes a lot out of him emotionally. So maybe we'll get something together in 2025. Who knows? But with that being said, one thing I do want to jump into, because if I didn't jump into the album, that would be absolutely criminal. So I want to talk, of course, about Will You Still Love Me? And when it came to really creating this album, especially as I was looking at the press release talking about creating a deeper blend of that unique sound, combining pop sensibilities and hardcore metal influences, how did you put this all together, and how did you sonically create a lot of the ideas on Will You Still Love Me?
I think it was. I don't think it was really a conscious choice.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for a long time now, and I think before in writing processes, we've not stuck to a formula as such, but we've been more conscious of we think people want to hear this, or we think people would like this, or press, or maybe Spotify playlist. And I think this one, as we've got older and as we've kind of been around the block a bit more, kind of just wanted to do something that we would really like. And I think that's why a lot of the songs are so different, because we've got such a vast different array of like music genres that we listen to, that we kind of just took every song as it came. And obviously a lot of the songs start with our guitarist Mikey, who's not here, and he's got a great range of music tastes. And one day you'd be hearing a song like Psycho that's like reminiscent of a Fever 333 track, or like a Rage Against the Machine track, and then you get a snippet of In the Dark, which is like almost like boy bands meets metal music. So it's really cool to see how the album progressed from that way, and kind of build on it.
I would say you could easily tell that there's a lot of differences coming through this album, and I think by using In the Dark and Psycho as your two differentiating tracks as to showing where that massive contrast can happen really stands out, because even listening through Psycho, it was weird because it's like I'm hearing vocals that remind me of stuff like from Wage War, and then a mix of like Rage Against the Machine, Fever 333 style progressions and vocals, but then there's all of a sudden these like synths and like J-pop sounds in there that make me think you guys are listening to a lot of baby metal going into that song as well. And the crazy thing is, for a song called Psycho, it's something where you think all those influences, all those different ideas should not work and should not flow together, but you're scratching your head and you think you're going crazy because it works. It absolutely works, and you're trying to figure out why. You think you're going psychotic, but no, you're not. It just is a whole bunch of ideas that somehow are working together in the best capacity. It makes no sense to me, but calling that track Psycho made me feel like I was going psychotic in the best way.
Amazing. Well, thank you. That's a great compliment, man.
Yeah, I had to go back into my notes on that one. I'm like, because I know I referenced like 3 or 4 bands in that like idea of that song, and I was listening to it. I just had to go through and recheck and see which ones I actually thought, because I remember Rage Against the Machine and Fever 333, but I'm like, what are the other ones that just seem like they don't make sense on this track? But when you listen to the whole thing, you're stunned by how much it makes sense, and that's what makes you feel like a psycho. Perfect for the title tracks, or perfect for the title. So woohoo! But even diving deeper in the album too, there were so many other ideas you implemented there. Different ideas with synths, different ideas with programming to bring in some of those more pop flavors to it. You're also bringing in some more of those pop rock and just overall continuous flows with like continuous ideas and bands that you constantly see are getting rock radio play because of the catchy choruses, because of the cleanliness of it. But then you're also throwing in ideas that bring in those unclean vocals, whether it's more melodic to bring it out more of a drawn out aggression, whether it's a faster paced idea to really amp up the energy, some breakdowns in there that you're just sitting there like, where the hell did this come from on this overall song? There's so many different pieces in here, but the biggest key for an album like this is if you're putting all those pieces, does the flow work so continuously where you can have all those different influences and it's so catchy to continue and get into? And working through this whole entire album the previous couple of days, yeah, almost every single song I can say you guys absolutely hit on that with so many different influences, but going from one spot to the next and really creating a cohesive unit of a song and an album absolutely worked on this one.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, as I said, it wasn't really a conscious thing. It was just, I think when you look back at the album, you just see we wrote it over quite a long period.
Yeah.
So I think you can see where we are at different stages of the process. It's quite nice.
It really is quite nice to be able to go and just reflect on that and see how long it took to really put these together, but how natural it was. And when bands put together songs, they just like, we have these crazy ideas, but it just naturally comes through. That's when you get those songs that cohesively flow together with so many different influences. That's when you get creativity at its absolute height. And that kind of creativity is what we're seeing dominate the growing music scene that, rock and metal still has and is continuing to get into. We're seeing bands continuously Bring Me the Horizon, Bad Omens, that are constantly trying new things. And it continues to work because people are looking for that authenticity and creativity. That's what we have here. And it's because when you guys are writing this, it just kind of happened. You guys didn't force it.
Yeah, we just kind of said yes to everything, like to everyone's ideas. Just tried it out, even if it took forever to program and everything. And then if it sounds like shit, then we'd scrap it. But we weren't scared to just go for whatever this time around. If there was any crazy ideas, then everyone would be supportive and encourage it. In the back, underneath parts in Psycho, there's Mikey just screaming low. He was just in the vocal booth, running around screaming. You can hear that underneath, and then just chucked a load of different effects on. There's quite a lot of that around that album.
Yeah, and I've got to give flowers to Oli as well, because when we did Coma, it was largely, obviously before Oli came in, we had a different vocalist who left as COVID started to come in. And Coma was largely written, all the instruments was written before Oli joined the band. You were actually there doing photography for us in the studio, which was crazy. And so there's a lot of things that Oli did in Coma and put towards ideas wise that were great and worked really well, but he didn't really get to put his flavor on it, I would say. Whereas this album is Oli through and through, down to synth parts, guitar parts. Oli doesn't play guitar really, but it's still would sing guitar bits or would come up with them how he would hear them on the guitar. And I think he's got to get his props for that because he really it made the album sound as it is.
I think that also helped make the album sound as dynamic as it does. And it makes a lot of sense too when you're talking about how Oli coming in on Coma, where the instrumentals and the backs were already created. So it's really putting your vocals over a previous creation and trying to mold around there. Now when it comes to creation of Will You Still Love Me, it has that intricacy and addition of Oli flavor and just overall adding different things that might not have been there from previous records. But having that instance in the creation of this whole entire album adds to that dynamics that we're seeing here. Adds to the addition of all the different synths, adds to the addition of how different dynamics and vocals are going to play off and what you guys can do to not only maximize out on Oli's vocal range, but also try different ideas that you may have never thought of. And again, when you're going through these songs, there's so many different pieces of them. I mean, there was one song, I can't remember it. I got to look through my notes as quickly as possible. But as I was going through it, I kept thinking, were you guys influenced by Prince on something? Because it made sense to kind of pull out some of these influences of, I'm thinking this is getting to be the 80s, but modernization of the 80s and Prince in there with some metal thrown all over the place. Don't know where it came from, but it was there and it was damn cool. I gotta look it up to find the song I put that down in, because if I don't find
Yeah,
it,
but
I'm gonna be really mad.
These are things we're listening to on a daily basis. Like, I'd say, especially me and Mikey are really into like 80s music. I work in a barbershop all the time when I'm not doing this, and like it's 80s music constantly. Like, it's all I hear all day. And I know Mikey is a big lover of that kind of music. He wears a Prince t-shirt on stage a lot of the time, so it makes sense that you're hearing that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it does make sense. I had to just type it in, like, do quick, like, Control F find on my Microsoft Word document, and it was Sugar that I found that in. Specifically, it was Sugar.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, yeah. I get that. I can hear that, man.
Yeah, because I was like, it has like a modern metalcore feel, but also layered with some of those electronics from like the 80s Prince and what you see in modern electric callboy, which again, all those together sound like they wouldn't make a lot of sense. But you listen to Sugar and it has such a positive sound and a great pacing behind it to make sure that it all works out so well. I've heard so many bands try and put Prince ideas into their music, and there's a lot of times where it doesn't work out because it's so iconic, but it has to be intricately woven in there to really stand out. Sugar had that. So if you guys need to go off and start wearing all your...
Yeah, thanks, man. Like,
so you guys...
as you might be able to tell throughout the whole process of this interview, me and Oli are probably the worst people to take compliments. So there will be a lot of thank you and like awkward silences. I can only apologize for that in advance.
Oh, well, again, as long as we're aware of the fact that it's like, okay, we got the compliment. How do we respond besides just giving like a thumbs up and being, hey, thanks.
Exactly.
Hey, don't worry about it, because again, when we're talking about your music, I understand there's a lot of times where there's other people in the world. When you hear something positive about it, it's like, wait, people really think this? People are really finding this out? Or people are really thinking this about us? This doesn't make any sense. How do we take this without just being awkward as all hell? Thank you. I don't know, but I get it. And I'm just glad that you guys are, enjoying the fact that we're talking about the album and we're finding all these different nuances to it that you guys put in there and are absolutely enjoying it every step of the way.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it's great as well because we've had feedback from friends and family, but these are songs that largely the outside world outside of the City Is Ours little group haven't heard. So it's nice to be getting this feedback. It's like news to us.
We're gonna have to big old headline: news to the world, the City Is Ours makes great music. And if you didn't know that, now you do. Boom.
Far too kind, man. Thank you.
Well, one other thing I'm looking at is when I look at the overall track list, is there a specific song on this album that may have been harder to create than some of the others? I know you guys created a lot of these and it was very natural for that creation process, but was there one song that stood out as, man, this one was a tough one to create?
I'd say not like flow-wise, but lyric-wise and performance-wise, Enough, which is the last track on the album. That was difficult, like, especially like in the booth. We wanted it to be like as raw as possible, so there's little like layered vocals at all, just one, and just So Oz, our producer at Hidden Track Studios, he was like, he pushed me hard, and it's a little bit of an emotional one. So that was a difficult one. But actually coming up with structurally, In the Dark, there was literally about 5 different versions of it.
Yeah, In the Dark had started maybe before you were in the band, or like
it was just after Coma.
Yeah. Oh, so you were in the band, but not long after, right? Yeah. And it sounded nothing like it. It kind of had a lot of the same. The chorus lyrically and vocally was largely the same, but it sounded like a completely different tune. It was kind of
JoJo's.
Yeah, I guess. So that one was harder in the sense that we tore it apart. It was and restructured it all. You're right in enough as well. Enough was, and watching that in the studio, watching Oli's performance, just was, everyone was silent because it was just so raw and emotional and heavy, and you could feel it in the atmosphere. You could just feel not tension, but just like how emotional it was, and it was I wouldn't say nice experience, but it was great to be there. I'm glad we were there for it. But yeah, I think you're right. Enough was tough because of that. In the Dark was not tough, but went through a lot of changes. I See You maybe. Yeah. I think not a confidence thing, but it was very different. Ollie's never sung like that on a record, with that kind of like guttural, guess you would call it architectsy type of vocal, fry vocals. And I think there was like a lot of discussion back and forth on how we were going to approach that, if it was something we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So there were moments in the album throughout that were tough, but I think as an album though, it was the nicest it's felt to write. We all felt it felt really collaborative, which it has been in the past, but this one felt like a new level of that. And it was just a joy. The whole album was just a joy to do, even the emotional and raw parts.
I'm glad the way you guys answered that question, because when we're hearing about these songs that may have been tougher to create or just were the tougher ones to really get into when it came to the writing process or how it all came together, it really makes sense. So when we go back and we look at a song like In the Dark and how it consistently changed, even though the chorus, vocal, and pattern and lyrics were pretty similar, it shows that we found out it was the first song you guys really wrote for this record, and it was like the first one that really had a lot of the Oli touch over it to really continually create what was going to be becoming of this brand new record for The City Is Ours. So it really shows that there was a lot of care put into it and a lot of understanding that was working through this song so that it set up a great precedent for the rest of the tracks on the album going forward. Thinking about Enough, that one definitely has a little bit more of a standout moment on the album, especially towards the end, just given the fact that you look at a track list and a times list and it's over 5 minutes, where none of these other songs really get close to going over 4 minutes. So you're wondering, why is it going that far over? But when you hear the emotion in those vocals and the rawness in there, any fan of the Amity Affliction would go absolutely apeshit for something like this. And it makes sense why you need to put it out there and really have that overall just passionate, raw, and just emotional flow that might be tougher when it comes to not only writing it, but really recording it as well to get that positive feel out there. Then something like I See You, bringing up, heavier vocals, something similar to Architects. I looked at that in my notes. I'm like, I had to put that one as the one that reminded me of feeling like Architects in a way. And right away, I'm opening up the song, looking at my notes for it, and first thing I see on there, big giant, all in bold, Architects. Like, I'm continuing to pick that up in the vocals, so it made sense that you guys thought about that in this one. I'm like, yep, you guys are picking up on that influence right there from a vocal standpoint, specifically from that vocal standpoint.
Yeah, 100%. It's a weird one because with that song, I had the main idea for the chorus, and then me and you molded it together. But I could just hear Oli had almost done there'd been moments where I could hear those vocals inside of Oli, like when we'd been writing different things, or like when we'd done stuff live. I could hear that he had the capacity to do it. But I just think there was maybe a little hesitation.
Yeah, you had to fully convince me to do it.
Yeah,
it's so high. So scared to play that live.
And I think I'm glad that it wasn't a battle as such, but there was a lot of back and forths between me, Oli, and Mikey specifically on that. And I'm glad we got you to do it, because it just his vocals on it sound insane. He won't say it because I don't feel like he thinks he can, but Jesus, his vocals on that song specifically are up there with the best, in my opinion. He's just insanely talented. I will stop, like, because I know you'll be feeling uncomfortable with that. But just what a voice.
Well, I mean, it looks like we got to give flowers to Oli on this one for not only showing that ability, but also flowers to the rest of you guys for pushing him to try and do something like that, pushing you beyond your comfort zone. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to ask this question around the tougher songs to create on this, because especially listening through as fans, we can pick up certain pieces of these songs. We can tell the ones that go out of the box a little bit, the ones that might be a little bit more tough to create, whether it's from an emotional standpoint or a structural standpoint. But knowing the story behind them gives us a new light and a new idea in how these songs are created, but also a new perspective and a new love for them, because we know what went into them and we can better relate to the idea of these songs, where if we're seeing you really work to put these songs together, whether it's trying something new from a structural standpoint, whether it's being raw and emotional from a lyrical standpoint, or trying to expand your sound both instrumentally or vocally, there's a respect that's going to be there, and there's a embedded want to see you guys succeed in this stuff. So having the idea of these songs really having, more of an intense creation process, it makes us feel more closely connected to them.
Yeah, awesome. I think, like, as fans of a lot of musicians and bands as well, we feel the same. So I am a big proponent of, like, I don't really listen to a certain type of music. There's something about it that I can feel or relate to, and that's what gets me. So we know how important that is in our music, and we've always tried to write from the heart, and massively have with this one. It's very much a telling of a lot of Oli's story. So yeah. It's heartfelt throughout. Even the fun, happy songs have a good meaning behind it, and have really, every song has come right from the soul of the source, really.
When you can tell these songs are coming right from the soul, it has a completely different connecting piece to you as a fan, because you can have an easier time understanding the emotion that's being shown there, and then being able to relate to it and find beauty in it, even if it is a type of music that doesn't necessarily hit your ears in a way that you think it should or that you're really preferring. Because I still remember this was back in like 2017, 2018, especially when I was getting into more of the heavier side of music. I wasn't even a fan of unclean vocals. I really disliked them, for outside of like Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. But then I got an ad for like Holy Hell by Architects to listen to the album, and I decided to give it a shot. And then getting the backstory about the creation process of it, how they had to make this album after the passing of Tom Cyril, and really getting an understanding of an appreciation for where this album was coming from. That was the one that basically led me to liking anything that had unclean vocals in it, understanding why, and then wanting to dive deeper into music so that we could find out these interesting stories, find out these interesting moments of either expression or vulnerability that we can really connect with as fans from an emotional standpoint. And that's what I'm seeing here too. So hearing some of the vulnerabilities when it came to the creation process not only helps me get even further into it, but I want to try and provide that to as many people as possible, because I felt that before.
Yeah, amazing, man. That's great, and that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? I felt the same way. Like, I was listening to indie music and old school rock music all the way up until Bring Me the Horizon release There Is a Hell, really, and like, for some reason, like, that clicked with me, and I was the same as you. I didn't really like songs with unclean vocals. I wasn't really into it growing up, and then I can't remember what song it was from that album, but I heard a song from that album, and I think just the emotion and like, as you say, the vulnerability really got to me, and the rest is history, really. And I think a lot of people have that story where they hadn't really given this type of music a chance until they'd heard something that just grabbed them, and usually that thing that grabs them is the storytelling, is the emotion, and is that you can feel the passion and the behind it. And I think that's why it's such an important key for us to try and get people to be able to relate to it, and to to share our story. It's like therapy for us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's why I think a song like Enough is probably the perfect one for that, just given how raw and given how emotional it is. Because it's very easy to find an emotion in there. It's very easy to find the overall passion and some of the agony that you could feel within the vocals of that song. So there's a lot of people that might not be fully into the idea of heavier music that would listen to that, get a very big appreciation for it, go through the rest of the album, and not only find appreciation for the heavier side of things, but find a lot of appreciation for the other influences you have in there that maybe some more of a moderate audience would really connect with, just given their overall musical past. So that's always a good positive that's there. Yeah, I saw the smiles there.
It's cut out a bit.
Oh, don't worry. I was just giving you guys more flowers.
Always like, I think there's that awkward moment where it cuts out slightly and we're just like not entirely sure if we're responding yet or not.
Don't worry. I just give you guys more flowers. I just give you guys more flowers. That's all you really need to know. But one other question I have
amazing. We'll take it. Thank you.
One other question I have is this, and it's one I absolutely love asking artists. And no, it is not the what is your favorite song on this album, because that's like trying to pick a favorite child. It's something that you're probably not going to be able to do. So I'll ask it in a little bit of a different way. At the time of recording this episode, 5 songs have been released as singles. So we've all heard them. We've all had the chance to hear them. But I'm not asking about those. I'm talking about the 7 songs that have yet to be released. Out of those 7, which is the song that you are most excited for people to hear and why?
Selfishly, just because I see you, just because it showcases different parts of vocals that I can do. And I think it's a very different song for City. Well, a lot of the songs on the album are, but yeah, it kind of goes everywhere. That song, like genre-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So I see you, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree. I see you would be a really interesting one to see. I think Enough as well. For all the reasons we've already spoken about, as well as the fact that I think it probably is the closest song to like an old style City song.
Yeah.
Like instrumentally, I think it's very reminiscent of like low era City in ways, which is quite nice. And I think a lot of fans will like that. But mainly, I think the whole album tells this story, and I think it's almost like some of the happy songs are kind of like masking some of the sad times. So almost like not that they're false or fake in any way, but it's like when you're sad and you're kind of like forcing yourself to be happy, or like you have good days, but ultimately there's this mist of sadness below it. And I think until the root of the problem is kind of dealt with, those days remain. And I think Enough is dealing with that. It's being like, right, we've skirted around all these problems in all these songs. Now here's the real deal. Here's Enough. Here's the problem. Here's what we're dealing with, and also here's the solution. Here's what we're going to do to make things better.
When it comes to exciting songs for people to listen to, and especially that are not yet released, I think those are 2 great picks. We've talked about both those songs a little bit more extensively than some of the others, but we're seeing the reasons why. And again, just by getting a further and deeper understanding of those songs, it's something for us to really dive deeper into and really be more open to our own emotions when we hear them. However, if it were me, I'd be a little bit more excited specifically for people to hear the song Hush Hush, just given the ending of it. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but the sexy ending to Hush Hush is one hell of an ending.
Okay. Awesome. But that's great to hear, because it's probably the song that we're not the most anxious about, but I think the rest of the album felt very.
Like the rest of the songs came together a lot easier than Hush Hush.
I think Hush Hush was a song that even after we recorded it, we were like, still not 100% sold on. So to hear that from you, man, is great because that's probably the one that we're the most
Apprehensive.
Yeah, that's the word. That's the right word.
That's probably the right word to go about it, but it's the way the song ends, and it's just like I put it there, the sexy ending to the song. It was one that was definitely needed for that song to end the way it did and just really come as a summary of a song to really come all encompassing, well-rounded, but it's something that you're not expecting. So just everybody, when the album drops, January 31st, there's plenty of songs that are yet to be released that are going to be ones that you're going to be surprised at. But we just named 3 of them, so just get ready. Mark it on your calendars. Write it on your arm. Right on the wall, right on the ceiling of your bedroom. And do not miss out the fact that Will You Still Love Me by The City Is Ours comes out on January 31st. And there are a couple songs on there that aren't released yet, but you must check out. And the best part about it is listen through the whole entire album from top to bottom, because these songs are all in the second half of the album. You're going to love it coming towards that end. Trust me.
Awesome. Thanks, man. We're really glad you're digging it as well. And it's given us a good insight, especially like, as you say, with Hush Hush. It's nice to hear. It's nice to hear what you think, man.
Oh, you guys are very welcome. It's one of the main reasons I love to do stuff. I love to be able to talk to us. I love people to get a further insight into the music, be able to have these deeper conversations about this stuff, but then also provide that, like, not necessarily I would say review, but provide those other insights from a fan's perspective that isn't directly tied to the band of, all right, there's some pieces on here that basically might not make sense, that might just come out in left field. Why are they there? But then also trying to figure out, why do they work? And really talking with you guys and figuring out why they work. That's the beauty of this stuff. It allows us, again, as fans, to get another appreciation for the music that we will have not only going into it, but also going through the rest of your careers as well.
Yeah, sounds great, man. It sounds great. Yeah, we're just really appreciative, dude.
Oh, you're very welcome. And as we wrap this up, as we bring this episode to its conclusion, one last thing I want to ask is, of course, with the album coming out in 2025, I know you guys are out with the home team as the recording of this. You're going out with Self-Deception as well before the album is released. What other fun things you guys have planned in 2025 that you can let us in on?
Just more touring with Self-Deception.
We are. That is currently our schedule is more touring with Self-Deception. That rolls up all the way till March. We're in Europe with them, and then they come over here, come over to England, to our home. So it'll be nice after being out in Europe with them for so long to kind of, obviously they've been here, they know England, I'm sure, but it'd be nice to be here with them as well and see the reaction, because we think they're both great bands, Self-Deception and Eyes Wide Open. So it'd be nice to see how England treats them, and hopefully they'll have a great time here as we have in Europe. My headphone is falling out. I apologize.
Well, I hope it continues to be on the positive trajectory and be a great time. And if you guys are looking for some like tour prank when it comes to Self-Deception, you guys are going to have to walk up on stage dressed as different Matthew McConaughey movie characters, and they play Matthew McConaughey.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, that's London sorted, so thanks, Kevin.
Oh, you're very welcome. Always happy to help out with some of the craziness that comes in there. I'm a little jealous because I wanted to see Self-Deception live. They're supposed to come over to the U.S. in 2024. Unfortunately, I think it was visa issues prevented that. But now I'm jealous because I could have seen The City Is Ours and Self-Deception at the same time. What the hell?
Oh, man. They're just I can't even explain what they're like. It's crazy, but it's just, they're one of the best bands I think I've seen live, let alone played with. The energy they bring, and they're just the nicest guys as well, real down to earth. They go on stage in these pink suits with like neon lights, and they come off stage and they're just the biggest sweethearts, man. You couldn't ask for anything more.
Mo, I was gonna, and if they were to end up playing in the U.S. when they were supposed to play Louder Than Life in 2024, like I had a plan to like make sure I had like a big giant pink cowboy hat and a big giant pink tutu to be in the mosh pit for their songs, and especially given what happened at that festival this past year, where the remnants of a hurricane hit on day 2, we would have been in pink cowboy hats, pink tutus, moshing around in the mud to Matthew McConaughey. I'm mad we missed out on that because that would have been hysterical.
Yeah, that would be insane.
So just maybe, you know, at some point in time, bring some mud into the show and just start dancing around with the guys. Recreate the moment that I wish I had.
Amazing.
Well, guys,
amazing. We'll bear that in mind for the next bit of the tour.
Oh, absolutely. Well, guys, I want to thank you for taking the time today to join the Chord Progression Podcast, especially for bringing the band to here for the second time for the third album. Absolutely amazed by it and love it. I want to end this episode with 3 things for everybody. So first things first, Will You Still Love Me, the brand known from The City Is Ours, comes out on January 31st of 2025. There are singles out now, but we talk about the songs that are going to be releasing later on that you do want to check out. We talk about the album, so you're going to want to be ready for them. And go check out the band live if you get a chance. So here's what you're going to do. The description of the podcast says, find The City Is Ours online. Links and labels for all social media, YouTube, where you can stream the album, save it, pre-order it, where you can buy some merch, and where you can check them out live if they're coming to your area is all down there for you. So go follow them. Go get behind the band. Do not let me down because I'm doing all the work to put this together for you. Just do a simple click and go, and you will be set. So go and do that. Now it's time for number 2. Whenever I bring this episode or these episodes to a conclusion, I always have a promise as a way to say thank you, and I wish to continue to support the band in the future. I believe I made this promise back in October of 2021, but because it hasn't come into fruition yet, I have to add to it. So the promise is this. It is when I get to see you perform live for the first time. I will come and find you guys. I will say hi to you. Initially, my promise is first round's on me. However, I haven't seen you guys play live yet. Now it's your second time on the podcast. It is no longer first round. I have to add one to it. It's first 2.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, mate.
We'll hold you to that for sure.
Oh, please do, because I need to make it over back to Europe at some point, and just basically for like a 3-week bender where I see a different show every single night, and probably, you know, spend a lot of money doing it, but it sounds like a fun idea.
That'd be an amazing idea.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, definitely reach out, man, if you're coming down to Europe and we're playing. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely will do. But now it's time for number 3, gentlemen. Let's bring this podcast conclusion by saying this. We won't say goodbye. That is way too final. I made you guys a promise. I still have to make good on that promise. And I know there's going to be more new music from The City Is Ours coming out in the future. So I have to make sure you guys come back on and we can talk all about it. So, gentlemen, this is not goodbye. This is, I'll see you later.
Amazing, man. And yeah, it's been a pleasure, dude. Thanks for having us, and thanks for taking the time to talk about the album, man.
Well, folks, my interview with Oli and Jamie from the band The City Is Ours. Now it's time for Kevin's final thought. And of course, we're going to go in this route. One of my favorite questions to ask about this album and in this interview was, which were the songs that were the toughest to create on this and the toughest to write on this? And the reason why I like that is because not only do we get to take a step back and think, okay, which were the ones that were tough to create? Which were the ones that were not easy, and why? We got a better understanding of Oli's vocal range on a song like I See You. We got a better understanding of the emotion that was put behind Enough. We got an understanding of some of the fun parts of it that were put in a hush hush, especially as I brought up towards the end, or in the dark when they talk about mixing boy band with metal. So we got an appreciation for where these songs came from, a little bit more of the tougher parts of it. But when we got that appreciation for it, what really helps us out is we get this idea that we understand, we know, we feel. We connect to those feelings a lot more, and when we connect to those emotions a lot more, these songs come out in a much grander way. As they come out in that grander way, we get much more connected to them, and we love them even more. We understand them. We feel that passion. We feel the pain. We feel the agony. We relate to it. We connect to it. That's the beauty of music. And that's why I brought up how I got connected to this overall heavier music stuff, especially from an unclean vocal perspective, using Architects as my example. That's why Jamie also brought up Bring Me the Horizon too, because there are moments there where we finally understand it. When we talk about this stuff, we give more people a chance to really understand it and have those moments. That's the beauty of it. So yeah, love it. Gotta love it. When it comes to City Is Ours, when it comes to Will You Still Love Me, please go straight to the podcast floor. It says find The City Is Ours online links levels for everything and be there social media wise, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever I can find on the band. It's all gonna be down there for you to go and check out. So please go and follow along with the band. Please also follow with us on the Chord Progression Podcast page on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All down there in the description of the podcast. Hit subscribe if you're on YouTube right down here. Hit the follow button on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if audio is your preferred version. Hit the like button on these episodes to help push us in the algorithm. It is a big help. So thank you, everybody. And that's going to be it. Thank you very much for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin. And you guys know how to sing one of those episodes of the Big Healthy and Hearty. See ya! Yeah.